That Maverick City founder thought he ate that podcast, and all he did was break the ice for a conversation it seems like a lot of people were refraining to have out of pure respect for gospel music. There's a reason that we don't know who the founders of 99% of these companies are. It might be because if you give them a platform, all bets might be off. Now, I am the biggest cheerleader of founders having personal brands. My name is M.Will. I'm the founder of a company called Boss Lab, but it can pose a problem if that founder's beliefs and ideas and opinions conflict with the customer base. A good example of when we saw that is when Elon Musk went on that podcast and he was lighting it up and yapping, and then the next day that Tesla stock tanked. What I saw on that podcast was disturbing. Didn't seem to be aligned with the word, but that's another topic for another day. But most importantly, it doesn't seem like a true business analysis was done on the state of gospel music, because to me, there is a lot of different things at play here. I've always been a mass choir type of girl, never could really get jiggy with the small praise team type of music. As modern as I get is like Kirk Franklin, Trinity 5-7. After that, I'm circling right on back to Mississippi Mass Choir. Nevertheless, that's my personal preference. When you look at the mass choir traditional gospel music business landscape, it's been trending downward for multiple reasons. Number one, for many years, less people go physically into church and more people stream. Back in the day, it was when church was on TV, when you could get CDs and tapes of church sermons. Now, any given church is streaming. It got even worse in 2020 when we couldn't go to church. So everybody is streaming and some people never return. There's less people physically in the church. Who's going to be able to join a choir? Who's going to come to choir practice? I think we have to consider how people church these days. Also, we have to consider things like trends, the modernization of gospel music. So people like Kirk Franklin and Mary kind of ushered in some of the present day church music. However, it did not erase the foundations of gospel music. Just because we started liking a little God's property did not mean that we don't want Mississippi Mass Choir sometimes. What I saw in that interview with Norman made me think that his assessment of the gospel landscape is rooted in ego and kind of feelings and not so much as the business perspective of things. Because if I'm looking at things from an ego and feelings perspective, then I'm going to think that what I created is so great and all that other old stuff, that's trash. This is why in any business, it's very important to consider your target audience. That is why you go so deep into what they like, where they grew up, what their foundations are, what their morals are. Because if your target audience has a foundation, let's just say in the church, they grew up off of gospel music, they love traditional gospel music, they also like your type of gospel music, then in your efforts to build your personal brand, you go out and you disparage that gospel music that your customers love. See how that could be a problem? Even if you're building a personal brand as a founder, you need to still be aligned with the mission of your company because you're representing your company all the time. Now what's happened is the floodgates have been open on people expressing their negative opinion about what you created, when everybody could have just been keeping their opinions to themselves. Now, because the cat's out of the bag, there's going to be some lukewarm or on the fence fans. They're hearing people's perspective and now they don't want nothing to do with your music. Understand that as a founder, your personal opinions and your personal views don't run the show. What your customers like and what they want runs the show.